Good morning and welcome back. This is a video that's going to look at the Hunger Games, the first chapter of the first book. In this video I'm going to just go through and explain the extract and just leave you a couple of quotes to think about. Then in the next video we're going to have a look at writing a sort of literature essay about it. Okay, so let's get into it. So you should already have this extract available. If not, I'll leave a link down below and you'll be able to download it from here. So this is chapter 1. Make sure you've read it before you just watch this. So if you haven't watched it, if you just hit pause and just make sure you've read it, and then we'll go through it together. So, looking at the first part, when I wake up, the other side of the bed is cold. And this is quite, I think, important because immediately I feel that this establishes a ominous feeling. I think straight away the writer, Suzanne Collins, if you're not sure of her name, I think that's how you spell it. Straight away, Suzanne Collins establishes that ominous feeling, that feeling that something bad is going to happen. My fingers stretch out seeking Prim's warmth, but finding only the rough canvas cover of the mattress. And I think the rough canvas cover as well helps to further embed the feeling of this being a dystopian world, something unpleasant. She must have had bad dreams and climbed in with her mother, and I think bad dreams as well further links to this idea. Of course she did. This is the day of the reaping. At this stage in the story, you don't know what the reaping is, but we can tell from the way that our narrator Katniss is talking about it. Obviously something bad is associated with this reaping. I prop myself up on one elbow. There's enough light in the bedroom to see them. My little sister, Prim, curled up on her side, cocooned in my mother's body. This cocooned, I think, is quite nice. It's very childlike. Of course, Prim is younger, but she's not of that young age, so she's acting younger than she is, because she's scared, she's afraid. I think fear is the reason for that. In sleep, my mother looks younger, still worn, but not so beaten down. So this kind of negative first impression we have, I think, is telling us about the difficulties that perhaps people face in this life. So difficulties of their lives. Prim's face is fresh as a raindrop, as lovely as the primrose. So these little two similes, though, on the other hand, they complete a contrast. While the world is very dark and cold and there's an absence of light, and while the mum looks haggard and worn, on the other hand, Prim still looks very fresh, and she's something lovely. And I think this way of describing her creates her as this shining. She's almost a metaphor for hope, I think, is where my brain is going with that. My mother was very beautiful once, too, or so they tell me. So again, perhaps the mother started out as this lovely, light, fresh character, but the world in which she lives, this dystopian world in District 13, has worn her down over time. Sitting at Prim's knees, guarding her, is the world's ugliest cat. Mashed in nose, half of one ear missing, eyes the colour of rotting squash. Prim named him Buttercup, which is, of course, ironic, but also I think it links to Prim being a beacon or a symbol or a sign of hope. Insisting that his muddy yellow cat matched his bright flower. He hates me, or at least distrusts me. Even though it was years ago, I think he still remembers how I tried to drown him in a bucket when Prim brought him home. And of course, that gives, I think, that cat perfect reason to hate him. A scrawny kitten, belly swollen with worms, crawling with fleas. The last thing I needed was another mouth to feed. And here again, this is symbolic of how hard life is. But Prim begged so hard, cried even, I had to let him stay. Turned out okay. My mother got rid of the vermin and is a born mouser, even catches the occasional rat. Sometimes when I clean a kill, I feed Buttercup the entrails. He has stopped hissing at me, so perhaps they're getting on now. Maybe they've made up. Entrails, no hissing. This is the closest we will ever come to love. I swing my legs off the bed and slide into the hunting boots. So hunting boots, this isn't something I would normally expect someone to be wearing, so I think this is revealing a bit about her character. And I think it's interesting that immediately our eye is drawn to this idea that she's a hunter. Supple leather that has moulded to my feet. So this moulded to my feet, we get the sense that they're old, they're worn. I put on trousers, a shirt, tuck my long dark braid up into a cap, and grab my forage bag. On the table, under a wooden bowl to protect it from hungry rats and cats alike, sits a perfect little goat's cheese wrapped in basil leaves. Prim's gift to me on reaping day. I put the cheese carefully in my pocket as I slip outside. So I think the fact that food is a gift, I think it tells us how scarce or how rare food is. Our part of District 12, nicknamed the Seam, is... 12, 13 is the other one, isn't it? Nicknamed the Seam is usually crawling with coal miners heading out to morning shift at this hour. So the fact that it's coal miners, it's telling us, or it's linking us in our minds perhaps to sort of somewhere that's not rich, it's not opulent. This is somewhere that's contained with sort of salt of the earth people. Men and women with hunched shoulders, swollen knuckles, many of whom have long since stopped trying to scrub the coal dust out of their broken nails and the lines of their sunken faces. And I quite like this little sentence because I think it's really giving a really nice description of what life is like for these people. But today, oh no, I don't want that pen. But today, the black cinder streets are empty. Shutters of the squat grey houses are closed. I think that's nice because the houses reflect the people. So the houses reflect the people. The reaping isn't until 2. May as well sleep in, if you can. And I think this again is building that sense of fear. We know something bad is happening. Our house is almost at the edge of the seam. I only have to pass a few gates to reach the scruffy field called the meadow. Separating the meadow from the woods, in fact closing all of District 12, is a high chain link fence topped with barbed wire loops. And I think as well this has got that kind of fearful, encaged feel to it. And again, that's very dystopian in its approach. In theory, it's supposed to be electrified 24 hours a day as a deterrent to predators that live in the woods. Packs of wild dogs, cougars, bears that used to threaten our streets. But since we're lucky to get 2 or 3 hours of electricity in the evenings, it's usually safe to touch. I think it's nice that she describes being lucky to get 2 or 3 hours of electricity, and I think that gives us sort of the poverty feeling, or perhaps austerity might be a nicer word to use there. Even so, I always take a moment to listen carefully for the hum that means the fence is live. So this is giving us a bit of a hint that she's clever. She knows what she's doing. Right now it's as silent as a stone, concealed by a clump of bushes. I flatten out on my belly and slide under a metre-long stretch that's been loose for years. There are several other weak spots in the fence, and again that's linking to that poverty and austerity, but this one is so close to home I almost always enter the woods here. So that's a little extract that I'm going to be thinking about. What I would like you to do as your task, please find 3 quotes that show us where we can see life being tough for Katniss. So somewhere where life is hard for Katniss. So if I just pop that down here, task, write down and explode 3 quotes that show life is tough for Katniss. And Katniss is our narrator that is talking at the minute. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Stay safe. Speak soon.